I don't feel that an AI-generated artist should be on the same charts as human beings.
So if she put her voice in there and she put a template, that's no different from a Future. We've never heard Future rap without the template on his voice. A T-Pain without the template on his voice.
Who is the artist? Is the artist Nicki or Xania?
Xania is the artist. I'm gonna ask you this question.
Wait, hold
Who's the
on.
artist? Is Future the artist or his legal name the artist? It's the same thing.
No.
How should AI music be treated on streaming services and on the charts, whether that's Billboard, TikTok, Spotify, or anything else? That's what we're going to tackle here today with my two great guests. Prophet, Romel, thank you so much for being here. There's a lot of nuance to this conversation. A lot of people have differing points of view. And so I wanted to bring both of you guys here because I think y'all come from two different, very important vantage points on this issue. So before we get started in this, I want to have you guys kind of introduce yourselves to whoever's watching at home.
Thank you for having me. Yeah. I am the president and founder of Daydream, which is, we play off AI, spelling day, D-A-I.
Oh.
So I got thrust into the AI music space with Xania Monet. That's my artist. I manage her, and I manage her creator, Nikki Jones. And so it kind of thrust me in unexpectedly, and then I had to research and learn it fast. I've been in the music industry over 20 years.
I'm Prophet, co-founder, president, CEO of the Black Music Action Coalition, organization that formed in 2020 in response to the show pausing after the killing of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Ahmaud Arbery. About 200 of the most influential producers, artists, music managers, lawyers formed an organization that would first hold the industry accountable to the pledges they were making around social and racial justice. But then we quickly realized there was tremendous bargaining power in this group that we formed. So this organization for the past 5, going on 6 years, have really been an advocacy group sitting at the intersection of music and activism.
And Romel, you're working with perhaps the most well-known AI artist today with Xania Monet. I know Xania is backed by a real person who writes poetry and uses Suno to kind of take those poems into songs. I'm wondering though, what was your first impression when you heard about Xania?
So when she first, the creator is a family friend, been known her over 15 years. So when she first said, I want to create my AI twin, which is, Xania first was an influencer. That's what she created her for. So Suno popped up. She immediately called me and said, have you heard of Suno? I said, no, what is it? She said, well, it says I can put my lyrics and turn it into song. And then the story began. She started playing with it. She put out 37 of her poems in there, created 37 songs. And then it just connected organically. It wasn't an intent, it wasn't an industry plant. It just grew on its own because the lyrics were real life stories that connected with individuals.
Prophet, BMAC recently started working on a letter that kind of enumerated what y'all's thoughts are on how AI music should be treated on the charts. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that letter and what you were talking about in there.
The overarching conversation is how we protect the creative community against AI, right, first and foremost. The federal legislation we have forth now is the No Fakes Act, a bipartisan bill that we were a part of creating and introducing to protect creators and the average person from deep fakes or AI clones. There's no guardrails up yet around how AI is being introduced to society. We are definitely not anti-innovation, but we're definitely not okay with corporations using unlicensed IP to train technology for profit. Yeah. And I think in that letter that we have coming out, we'll speak to some of the ideas that we have around those guardrails. Our goal as organizations and advocacy groups is to ensure that the creative community are a part of this conversation this time. And it's not just something that we kind of left out of and then told this is now what's going on. Mm-hmm. Secondly, I don't feel that an AI-generated artist should be on the same charts as human beings.
Okay.
I think that very similar to the way you put parental advisory stickers on rap songs in the early 90s, the same sort of, transparency should be taking place as it relates to AI-generated artists.
Okay.
I
so
think
like a
lot
label?
of people, yeah, I think a lot of people don't even know that they're listening sometimes. I think when the average person first heard his client, I doubt that they knew that it was an AI avatar that was created. And I think that should be transparent to the people. I'm happy to hear iHeart came out saying, listen, we're not playing music that's not human.
Yeah.
We have to, embrace technology, but also take care of the creative community that have taken care of us since the inception of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not against labels, but I do think they should be a part of the same charts. Now, I'm in agreement with outright stealing creators' work and not giving them credit for their IP and them not making money. I'm in total agreement with BMAC on that. But as far as saying that it's because it's voice generated by AI machine or technology that it shouldn't be included in charts or it shouldn't be awarded Grammys or whatever, I'm against that because I look at it as it's still art. If someone goes and creates this song, they write all the lyrics. Now, if they're just typing in a prompt and it creates the whole song, that's a difference. But I'm gonna use my client as an example. If you go in and you write the song and people don't know, in Suno it has a thing called persona. She went in there and recorded her voice and then she put a template on it. And that's where the voice of Xania was created. You can't type and say, sound like Beyonce, sound like Keisha Cole. You can't. Suno does not allow that. Those guardrails are on there. So if she put her voice in there and she put a template, that's no different from a Future. We've never heard Future rap without the template on his voice. A T-Pain without the template on his voice. So if she's putting the human element of writing the lyrics and creating the melody, and when we do our songs with Suno, we pull the stems off, because Suno is like a studio. We pull our vocal stems off, and then we give them to a producer. So if I go get a DJ L from Chicago, or I get a Zaytoven, reproduce this beat. So I don't see why that wouldn't be on the charts, because I can turn and say, well, what about the singers that have never written a lyric? They just sang something that was given to them. They're on the charts. So who is the gatekeep what a true artist is?
Yeah.
That's my dilemma.
The disconnect is we're not against it being on charts.
Okay.
I think there should be a separate chart.
Okay.
I think that the AI avatar should fight their way to the top like humans have to fight their way to the top. So if Xania Monet, what's the country artist?
Breaking Russ.
Breaking Russ. Yeah. All of these acts that's coming out allow there to be a chart system, Grammys and whatever, that award, support, celebrate that movement. So this is not anti that movement, but the difference that even in his breakdown of it, he spoke about humans. He spoke about a Future. You spoke about T-Pain, who might be using auto-tune on their voice, but they are in fact humans. No different than when the drum machine came and drummers were pissed off that now you're using drum machines to make the snare and the kick, pop. So this is not that energy of being against the innovation. I just have an issue with non-humans competing against humans.
Yeah, I hear you. I think one of the things that I think about with this whole debate is where do you draw the line between something that would be considered a quote-unquote AI artist or an AI song versus something that is human-made, because it's such a gray area in between. Obviously, we've all talked about it already here today. There are people who use just a very simple text prompt and a song pops out that basically didn't do anything. But then we also have the other end of the spectrum where maybe someone used Suno to generate a bass line, let's say, that they took and they built the whole other song, or the whole rest of the song by themselves as a human being, just in a regular DAW. If we were to create an AI chart, or if an AI chart were to be a thing, does the song with just the AI bass line belong on that chart, or does it belong on the human chart?
I'm talking about the actual artists. So if you used AI to help finish the bridge, or if you use this prompt to help develop the bass line, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about an avatar, an entity that's not human.
So your argument or gripe is with the avatar itself. So then we have to go against K-pop Demon Slayers, which is probably one of the biggest things this year. But it's still humans behind it, because there's still a human person behind Xania. It's just like Xania is just the face of it. So the problem is you're saying that she didn't put her face in the forefront, because Nicki can sing. She sings in her church choir. She put her voice into it. She's just not the face. So I guess the dilemma you guys are having is with the avatar, not the actual AI creating process.
Yeah, because again, I know a lot of producers and songwriters that love the technology and utilize it and feel they have opened chambers up for them that otherwise wouldn't have been open. My initial arguments were with the corporations that you could say, give me a James Brown song, and then it generated a James Brown record without the estate being compensated or agreeing to even allow that process to happen.
So we're in agreement with that. If you could type that in, give me James Brown, I'm in agreement with you on that.
And it's really not a conversation where it's BMAC or Prophet against Xania Monet, at all, or Nicki for that matter. You know what I'm saying? Whatever her process is, whether she gave her record to Victoria Monet or to Xania Monet, is her record. She did what she, as a creator wanted to do with it. I'm just suggesting that the audience should be aware that Xania Monet off the rip is not a human. Mm-hmm. And then, in my opinion, there should be a separate charting system to celebrate those creators who are deciding to use their creativity in that way.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're in line with. I don't think if you're trying to fake out from jump, it was Xania Monet as an avatar and was created by Nicki. That was from day one in the bio of her Instagram when it first started. So it was never a trickery. The lyrics just connected, and then it went from there. But then on the flip side, after that happened, a lot of people were advocating, well, you should just give that song to traditional artists. I'm not an artist, but I know the business of music. Mm-hmm. An email from Talisha Jones before she was Xania Monet creator wouldn't have got open. 20 songs wouldn't have got open. They wouldn't have opened it. So when you tell me now that I got an avenue to get my songs out and it created this buzz, I had 9 million streams in 2 weeks, now I'm supposed to step back, take a cake I baked and put all the ingredients in and give it to someone else to go get the record deal, the lucrative record deal that she was able to get. Business-wise, that doesn't make sense anywhere.
In case anyone isn't aware of the big headlines around Xania Monet, but she got a multi-million-dollar record deal, correct, with Hallwood Media. I think it scared a lot of people, especially if they didn't read past the headline. How do we define what the problem is? Is it the AI avatar? Is it AI doing the songwriting? Is it AI doing the producing?
I think it depends on who you're speaking to. And I think it's very clear to understand that I had no problem with the deal.
Totally.
Not about the how you produce your music. I'm not here to guard or to tell you or to try and regulate how you use technology that's available to you at all. This is salute to Nicki, salute to Romel. They were able to take the technology and create a business, and now able to continue to take care of their families. I mean, that's one of the dreams of being in this entertainment industry. This is what we can do as an industry to ensure that the creative community, the humans within the creative community can continue to thrive, continue to compete, continue to give their best to fight for that #1 spot in the charts. I just don't think that a non-human should be a part of that fight. But should there be charts for them? Absolutely. Should there be space in this game for them? Absolutely. So when Harvey's saying one of the toughest decisions he had to make is how to deal with AI as from a Grammy perspective, if you have Xania Monet and this one and that one, and these are all AI generated avatars, and they going up to compete for that, who was the best that year, I would support that.
Let me ask you a question. What about for the best songwriter of the year? Why couldn't she be in that category? She wrote the record.
She is not the avatar. Again, this is like Nicki then would be Nicki herself.
So you saying she could be up for songwriter?
Because she is a human. Again, if she is a human, I am pro-human. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So Nicki as a songwriter, or if you gave the beat to Zaytoven or whomever to reproduce,
and they produced her of the year.
That have nothing. I'm not there. I'm talking about the actual performer.
Yeah, so we've talked a lot about charts, and charts are kind of a zero-sum game. Like if one artist is #1 that week, another artist can't be #1 that week. Mm-hmm. But streaming's a little bit different from that, and that's another area where AI artists and human artists are all on the same platforms together.
I think iHeartRadio is going to have to rethink and come up with a different decision, because I'm a numbers guy. no one person or one company can be gatekeeper of music. Music is the great connector of everybody. iHeart said that anything that has AI technology involved can't play on the air, can't be on their podcast. And so when I sit back and I think about what Tom did, I understand it was a quick reaction. But I think if you're not going to try to gatekeep music, you have to take a retraction or take a step back. And I say that because when we were on iHeartRadio, we were 28 at Urban AC. Number one was Kim. I'm a huge Kim fan. That's my age group. Kim was getting 58,000 streams a week when he was number one. Xania was getting 1.6 million streams a week. So you're gatekeeping. She got 1.6 million fans listening to that song a week, and you made the decision, because you're at the top of the food chain for your company, you made the decision to shut it down. So now you're gatekeeping the fans, because the fans evidently are connecting, because that's not bots, that's not campaigns, that's organic, 1.6 million streams a week over a 2-month period consistently, but you pulled it off. So I think people are just reacting to the AI part, but you also got to understand AI is an outlet for songwriters, producers. So if we're protecting creators, we got to look at that avenue. We have songwriters that have some of the biggest records for Grammy winners who can't put food on their table. So if Suno gives them an opportunity to put food on their table because they created an avatar with their songs, who are we as a minority, majority, however you want to look at it, to say, that's not good music, that's not real, you're not a musician. So I think society is trying to gatekeep the definition of an artist, and that's not fair. Nicki is an artist. Xania is an extension of her. It's just an avatar face.
So who is the artist? Is the artist Nicki or Xania?
Xania is the artist. I'm gonna ask you this question.
No, wait.
Who's the artist? Is Future the artist or his legal name the artist? It's the same thing.
No.
It's the same thing?
Absolutely not. It's not the same thing. How could that be the same thing? I thought you were going to cover something
That's
deep.
his PKA.
Nah, man.
Xania is Nicki's PKA.
No, it ain't.
How is it not? It's her professionally known as.
No, because you talked about a completely a computer-generated image, right?
Okay.
This is not your government name versus your stage name. This is...
That's what her agreement says. Her record label is just like anybody else's record label. It says Talisha Jones, PKA, Xania Monet. That's who signed the deal.
Okay.
So if my rap name is Mello, it's going to say Romel Murphy.
Yeah.
PKA Mello.
Got you.
There's no difference.
Got you. But so who is the artist? Is it Nicki or is it Xania Monet?
I would say Nicki is the creator.
All right, and I'm here to protect that. Straight up and down. You know, what we're fighting for is also for her IP to be protected as she moves forward as a songwriter. We want to make sure that her creativity is never manipulated or taken advantage of or used in a way that she doesn't agree.
And we're in agreement on that part.
Or not being compensated.
You and I agree on that.
So this conversation is to protect all creators 1,000%. Now, avatar and computer-generated entities or whatever, that's a separate thing. And if this is who you decide to use to get your creativity to the marketplace, no problem. I just think that should be charted separately.
So what about K-pop and then Demon Slayers? They were number one for, Billboard, at least 20 weeks straight.
For a long time.
And so what do you think that category? They're going to win numerous awards this year.
Yeah, my conversation don't shift with the genre. It's across
so it's consistent across, okay.
1,000%.
Okay, interesting. And so I think that's a good thing to point out. The avatars, doesn't matter if the avatar is AI generated or if it's made by an animation studio. I think these questions are only going to come up more and more as things go on. I'm wondering, do you think your stance on AI on the charts is the same as how you think AI should be treated on streaming services? Or do you kind of have a different nuance there when you think about it?
I think the streaming services are slightly different because an individual can make a decision what they want to consume and how often they want to consume it, right? So if I want to stream Xania Monet 35 times a day as an individual, that's my prerogative, that's my right, and I should be able to do that. But when we talk about how records are charted and who's involved with creating that number one, number two, number three space, I just think that, for one, the creative community, especially the black creative community, have given so much to society from the inception of time and have received so little in terms of compensation, in terms of ownership. And for me, I'm always out to protect that, and we have to fix that. And we as a people should never get so far away from the human connection. And when you have non-humans competing in charts with humans, I think we are furthering that disconnect between humanity and where we need to be.
Streaming services, I feel like I'm almost going to duplicate what I said with iHeartRadio. Okay. We're getting, for the last 2 months consistently, we're getting 6 million streams a week total of our whole project. We're at 180 million streams in 3 months globally. We haven't hit one playlist. So you guys are blacklisting us from playlists, but playlists are supposed to be created for what the audience wants. That's how you get on the playlist, because the audience wants you on this. We can't get on the playlist.
Man, you don't even need the playlist. With those numbers, you get on the playlist and get a fraction of those numbers that you already generated.
Whole other conversation.
They're
don't even need it.
They're shadow banning us, and it's like, why? If the consumer wants the music. Like, I can see if we were buying it or we were forcing it. If they want it, how can you, sort of like, piggyback on what he said, you can't make them choose what you choose. And that's what I feel some of the playlists are doing. So that's my bite with the playlist. But to piggyback what he said on about the black music creators and the black culture, we have been getting the short end of the stick. So in my vision, we're at the forefront of innovation.
You balancing the books?
No.
You doing it for what they did to the Cold Crush?
We're at the forefront of innovation. So instead of, it's not going to stop. If it was Xania, if it was Breaking Ruts, it was going to be someone, and it's going to be more. Mm-hmm. So instead of having the dialogue of stopping it, as a black collective, let's come together and create our own. Because us speaking out against it and trying to stop it, you're trying to stop a train that's going to keep moving.
I actually want Nicki to become more vocal about artist protection as a songwriter. I think she should join the Songwriters of North America, SONA, and be an advocate to protect the songwriter community. This is a conversation about the corporations who have traditionally manipulated the creative community for their own gain, and then sit down with the major labels to broker the deal, and the creative community is left out of that conversation and and are fighting 30 years later for peanuts per stream because we wasn't at the table when major labels brokered the deal. So we want the Xania Monets and Nickis and Romels at the table so that we can not just be the face of it, but help control and regulate what this looks like 10, 15 years from now. You know, don't just be the innovator today. Let's go ahead and have the whole thought. Let's just not think about the moment. Let's think about the movement.
What he's saying is all Nicki and nobody's reached out. I've gotten DMs, emails from labels and artists bashing, but nobody's reached out and said, let's work. Let's partner. No, not one artist. Can you come to the studio and write for me? Or can you help us, like he said, be part of BMAC? Nobody's reached out. So when we're sitting in our silo, it's like, is it the money? What is they mad about? Because I would have thought you would have reached out. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure it out, because we're new to it too. And we don't want to go against the creators. It's actually a platform for the songwriters and producers to grow, but nobody's reached out.
Well, you get in here first, Billboard. BMAC is definitely reaching out. We sitting down, and it's going to be a beginning of conversations, and we're going to absolutely build. Yeah. There's more in common than what we disagree on.
Romel, I'm curious what the end game is for Xania Monet, or for Nicki as Xania Monet. Does she want to become a professional songwriter who writes for other people, and this is just the foot in the door to get her there? Or is Xania the end game?
The answer is twofold. We want Xania to be there forever and become a household name, a legacy, and be an artist and build Xania's world. That's one part. But she's totally, absolutely wanting to write with some of the biggest R&B artists in the industry. Like, she's writing songs and just cataloging them for other people. Like this, because Xania has a unique world. It's about pain, it's about fatherhood, miscarriage. It's more about life experiences. But she's written up-tempo love songs that aren't Xania's vein. It's just a matter of people understanding she is a true songwriter and then going from there.
So it was a poem that went through Suno to create the song.
Okay, so initially she wrote poetry. She put her poems in there and they created the structure of a song. And so after doing that, she was like, oh, I can just structure them myself in song form.
Okay.
So then she became a prolific.
She learned to write songs
through
how they structured her poem.
Exactly.
All right. Okay.
I could talk to you guys for hours about this. I have like 500 million follow-up questions from what we just discussed, but we are out of time today, so we're going to have you guys back at some point and talk about more of these issues. Right now, it's very important that we just have the open dialogue at all. So.
And it starts there, though. Be very clear. It starts with the open dialogue.
The conversation.
Because you don't have to walk in agreeing with everything. But I guarantee with an open dialogue, you leave agreeing with more than you thought you did before you had that dialogue.
Yeah. So thank you guys both for coming here.
Thank you for
having us. We really
us.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.